So in terms of what it does, well, firstly, when you compare this bit of equipment to other bits of equipment, you have to be able to distinguish why it's different. And a lot of what it gets compared to is something like an exercise ball. There was one here before. So the freeFORM board basically rolls on a supporting surface in what I describe as a planar motion, a planar movement. A plane is a flat surface. So it's one flat surface moving along another flat surface. Now you compare that to a wheel or a board that rolls on an axis. So here you have a surface that rolls along a surface rather than something that rolls on an axis. When something rolls on an axis, whatever's on it rolls off. When something rolls on a plane, whatever's on it can stay on it. The fact that it moves on a plane and doesn't tip over means that your constant connection and constant movement is possible where it's not possible on things that are less stable or roll on an axis. The fact that it moves in any direction, so there's things that are in a track and they roll forwards and backwards. A reformer rolls forwards and backwards. There's other products that roll forwards and backwards, but this rolls, and they also roll on a plane. And they're also stable, but they don't do that in every direction. So this does this direction, circles, and every combination of every direction. Because it's small, even if a Swiss ball could roll on a plane and you could stay in contact with it, it's too big to go around you and under you and all of these things. And the low friction means you need less energy to do those movements. So that's what's unique about what this does that other things don't do. Also the multifunctional nature of it, that you can lock it or unlock it, you can dock it or undock it. It gives you more options as well. What it does is basically it facilitates movement and it therefore conditions every major joint and muscle group in the body. But it does so in every direction. And it does so through every plane of motion. So you've got 3 planes of motion, this plane, and this rotational plane. So this combines all of those together. So you can do, this is the thing, you can do one direction, one plane, one body part, one segment again and again and again, like you can on everything else, but you can also start mixing and you can also go through a full range of motion. So it's working, it's got weight on it, which means that you can get a stretch while it's under load. So sagittal plane, forwards and backwards, frontal plane, side to side, and any kind of rotational movement is a transverse plane. When I started, I was doing these square geometric exercises, but I can go through like I'm drawing an asterisk on the floor, every angle, and a circle, and a figure of 8. And I can do that with my shoulders, and I can do that with my core, and I can do that with every major segment of my body. And apart from that, you can transition. What that means is I can transition from being here, standing, to here, front on, face down, to side on, to face up, to sitting down, to lying down, and I can do all of that continuously without ever getting off. And there's more interesting ways of doing it when you've got more body weight on the product itself. Train the way you play. So the fact is, what I just did, to varying degrees, is what happens when you play just about any sport that you play. You're changing body positions, you're going through full ranges of movement, you don't know yourself what's going to happen next. This allows you to do improvised movement. I don't know what's going to happen next myself. When people can play in competitive sport, they don't know what's going to happen. But when they go to the gym, they're not really training the way they compete. And I'm not saying that every exercise you do has to be like that, it doesn't. But there is a constant theme I come up with the elite sporting coaches. We do this in the gym, we do this on the field, there's a gap in there. How do we bridge that gap? And so one top sports coach, sports physiotherapist in Australia, said that this helps narrow the gap between how they train in the gym and how they play on the field. Okay, this is where someone at a trade show, face-to-face, or someone who goes into a health club is going to have to explain, because I can get in here and I can do, you know, these kinds of things like this, and then I go to the PT coordinator or the group exercise coordinator and say, last thing we want in our gyms is that. So you go to the trade show, you do these kinds of movements, everyone goes, wow, look at this, you get their attention. And you say, yes, however, This is something I call an exercise matrix. It tells you what variables you have to play with. It takes all the possibilities and identifies what they are. So I might give you a visual demonstration as I explain them. So now I'm on hands and knees. It's what you would describe as a short lever. I'm only supporting this much of my body. It takes no effort whatsoever. So then I put my foot on here. A short lever. It's not an extreme stretch. It's a short range of motion. And I'm on a base of support, 3 limbs on the floor, 1 limb on the board. So my 70-year-old grandmother can do this, and it's safe. She may want to put a knee pad under her knee. So apart from that, then you can change directions. Now what I'm changing is direction of my hip joint. I've got my body position fixed and I'm changing the joint. I can also change the body position. So there's all these variables that I'm trying to classify, map out for people. So this movement, this movement, this movement. And then if you want to go into slightly more challenging ranges of motion, instead of doing this, you do this. You see? So I'm just playing with all these little variables that I've designed here. I've got a 3-limb base of support, 1 direction of movement. Now I've got a 2-limb base of support, 1 direction of movement. Now I've got a 2-limb base of support, 2 directions of movement. And another direction, and another one. So you can make it as simple as you like, or as challenging. So in a 4-point short lever movement, now I'm in a long lever movement. Okay? And the same thing, these are called, on the abdominal muscles, you see how my body's not moving, my hip's moving, my body's not moving. That's called isometric, static. There's also something called isotonic. Isotonic is when the muscle shortens and lengthens. 2 base of support, 2 on the board, short lever. Again, I'm sure any of you can do this reasonably easily. If I want to just slightly increase the lever length and how challenging it is, you see, if I move my shoulders a bit more, there's more of my body I need to support. If I come onto my hands, it's very challenging. I can reverse that and do it this way. So this is called an open and closed kinetic chain, and this isn't for your benefit. This is for the sports scientist who will be explaining it to another sports scientist. So an open chain movement is one where your limb can move. A closed chain is when your limb is fixed. This is closed chain on the upper body, open chain on the lower body. And then I can easily reverse that. And it will have a slightly different effect. And then I can just as easily move into a lateral body position, and instead of working the front of my abdomen, I'm working the side of my abdomen. You see? And then I can go forward and add directional changes to that movement. And then I can do circles. So I've just done frontal plane, sagittal plane, and now I want to do transverse plane, which is rotational movements. Basic rotation. You make it more difficult by increasing the lever length, going from, so your base of support, hands, elbows, hips, knees, feet. If you go from elbows to knees to elbows to feet, you've got a longer lever. Going from here, here. And from there to there, and then again from there to there. And you can just keep going and going. So in application, I'm doing a kneeling position on the hands and knees. I'm doing a side position. So I showed you a isotonic, dynamic moving exercise, and I can just as easily do isometric, where my core is stable, and I can increase the lever length. And this is what someone will need to explain to the club owner who says, While you can do some really weird and wonderful things on this, but you can also show them anyone can do this. Once they've mastered this, they can progress to this. They can all be safe, simple, straight lines that anyone can do. And who wants to try? So if you come facing that way, put your knees on here and elbows on there. Okay, so move in and out. You feel your abdominal muscles working? Yeah? To there. Okay, go out again and just take your arms out a bit more. Okay, come back. So you feel that? You feel like you're still in control?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, turn side on. Put your knees completely side on. Put this elbow facing that way. This hand supporting, second support. Go out sideways. Let your left knee sit on top of your right knee. Your left knee can come off the floor. Be completely side on, that's it. Go out. Is it easy? Go out a bit more. Okay. So you've felt the front abdominal wall, now you feel the side? Okay. Stick a mat out in front. So the one under your knees, put it in front. Put 2 elbows on that mat. Left leg locked straight. So right knee on the board. Change knees. Take it out to the side. Lift your hips up a little, tuck the board under and take it out to the other side. You let this spine twist a little bit. Come up and go the other way. Okay, keep breathing. So you feel that? Okay, we'll do one more. Put your knees on the board. So last time, just do it again quickly. Put your knees on the board and elbows on. So knees on the floor, elbows on the board and come out. Okay, short lever movement. Come up, hands on the board. Now be very careful with this, don't go too far. Hands on the top surface. Never put your fingers underneath. Okay, just go as far as you can with control. Come back. You feel that was more intense?